Greetings Raiders, this is Vesper and welcome to my guide for Delubrum Reginae Savage. This video will focus on the Queen's Guard encounter, so let's get started. As different pugging groups have different strategies and role assignments for this fight, I'll be going over the strats that I personally have found most common on the groups here in the Light Data Center. Tanks will each be pre-assigned and add they are responsible for in the fight. However, if things go wrong, they should be prepared to pick up adds in the event that another tank dies to taking one too many ruin stacks. Just before starting the encounter, those players responsible for bringing Lost Spellforge and Lost Steelsting will apply this to their party members. Lost Steelsting goes on magical users and Lost Spellforge goes on physical damage dealers. More on this later. The 4 guards will not aggro as you approach them, so feel free to get as close as you like to them. Tanks should gather them together so everyone can AoE them down. Depending on how fast you do this, you may see up to 2 raid-wide AoEs go out called Blood and Bone and Queen's Shot. Feel free to pre-shield and mitigate these. Upon reaching 80% HP, the guards will disappear. It should also be noted that tanks should take special care of holding enmity here. This is because if the player who took part in the 1v1 duel was successful, they can do some crazy DPS with the Pride of Lioness buff they received. As such, this means they may take the aggro of the adds if you're not using your toolkits effectively. The Knight and Warrior guards will both respawn into the arena. The Warrior should be brought to the eastern edge of the arena, and the Knight close to the middle. If they are too close together, they will tether and become buffed, so they should be kept parted at all times. Also keep in mind that if one of the add dies, the other will begin to enrage, so you want to kill them both around the same time. A yellow or purple tether will appear between the warrior and the knight adds. This will either give them physical defense if yellow, or magical defense if purple. This is where Steelsting and Spellforge buffs come into play. The easiest way to remember what to do is to look at the tether between the adds. If you have the same colour buff as the tether, click off your buff. For hybrid jobs, you'll have to rely on whoever is responsible for giving these buffs out that they will buff you accordingly. Following this, a few mechanics will begin. The Queen's Warrior will cast Bombslinger that will spawn big bombs and small bombs around the arena. In normal mode, the heavy big bombs drop first and then the small bombs. However, if these bombs are tethered, then reversal of forces is in play, which means that the small bombs will drop first and then the big bombs. Players are usually considered light. However, players that are tethered are now considered heavy too. The simplest way to resolve this is by looking out for the number of tethers. If you see 0 or 2 tethers, one on you and one on a bomb, then you go to a big bomb. If you only see 1 tether, you go to a small bomb. At the same time, the knight will be casting either Sword Omen or Shield Omen, which is indicated by both the sword or shield animation and the cast bar. If Sword Omen is cast, the knight will become untargetable and dive through the middle of the arena and explode the orb in the middle. Therefore, players will need to take their bombs at the edge of the arena. If it casts Shield Omen, the knight knocks players back from the centre, but be sure to get knocked back into a safe spot away from the exploding orb. Next, the knight will cast Boost, which must be removed using Lost Dispel, as it gives it a damage up buff. This is followed by Blood and Bone raid-wide AoEs. Next we have the Winds of Weight mechanic. If you are tethered, you go to the Wind AoE. If you are not tethered, you go to the Lightning AoE. Straight after, a Sword or Shield Omen mechanic will be going off. Go to the centre of the arena close to the knight, and take note of where the 3 wings spawn. The safe area will be the space that does not have a wing. If it is the Sword Omen, you need to go away from the knight to avoid the AoE. If it is Shield Omen, you stay close to the boss to be safe. Next, prepare for more Blood and Bone raid-wide AoEs. Both the Knight and the Warrior will then cast Rapid Sever, a tank buster that will go out on their respective tanks. Once the Warrior and Knight are defeated, the Queen's Soldiers and Queen's Gunner will spawn. The Soldier is usually taken to the western edge of the arena and the Gunner to the middle. The Soldier will then cast Great Ball of Fire, which will spawn 4 Fire Orbs, 2 big and 2 small. Take note of where the small Fire Orbs spawn, as all of the orbs will transform into frogs. All of these frogs will explode, but the frogs that were small Fire Orbs will have a smaller AoE. Once these AoEs go out, the player will be surrounded by a circle with a gap. Think of the circle as a weak point, and point the gap of your circle to the Gunner in the middle as he fires Queen Shot. Straight after, you will need to turn your gap and line it up to a turret on either the east or west side of the arena. Failing to do this can lead to quickly running up your rune stacks. Tank Busters, Rapid Sever and Shot in the Dark will go out on both tanks, followed up by raid-wide AoEs. Next, the Gunner will summon 2 gun turrets. The Gunner will immediately begin casting Higher Power, granting the turrets a damage up buff which must be dispelled. They will then cast Sniper Shot. These turrets are a DPS check and must be eliminated before they can finish casting Explosion, which will enrage and wipe the raid. Once the turrets are defeated, there is another set of raid wides, and then the Soldier will begin casting either Fiery Portent or Icy Portent. If Fiery Portent is cast, you must stop attacking and stop moving, and wait for the Pyretic debuff to drop off before you can safely resume. However, if Icy Portent is cast, you must keep moving. The Soldier will cast Double Gambit, which summons 4 soldier avatars around the map. 2 of these will be tethered and 2 will not be tethered. They will jump twice. Be sure to follow the non-tethered soldiers to the safe spot. The circle with the gap will spawn again. Resolve this just like before by turning the gap to the Gunner in the centre first, and then to a turret on the east or west side. Just like with the Warrior and the Knight, the Soldier and Gunner need to be defeated around the same time. When this happens, all of the Queen's Guard will reappear at the intercardinals of the arena and begin hard-casting their Enrage. However, they will each be surrounded by an Ethereal Ward, which begins the final phase and the DPS check. 12 Spiritual Orbs will spawn around the arena. Those responsible for taking care of these will go to their pre-assigned position and use Reflect or a Light Curtain if you are confident in using it. If you are standing under one of these orbs when they go off, you will die without Reflect or Light Curtain active. Failing to reflect these orbs will result in a raid-wide AoE and damage down debuffs on players. It should also be noted that there is time for one person to take 2 orbs if necessary. At the same time, 2 Aurapheres will spawn, one fairly south and one fairly north. These must be DPS down immediately and tanks must use their immunities on the spike check. When the Aura Spheres are down, get back onto the guards still surrounded by the Ethereal Wards, but be sure you are attacking from the safe sides. They will occasionally cast Coat of Arms, which sets up a parry and will counter-attack if hit from the protected side and will also give you a rune stack. After you have defeated the guards, feel free to pick up your loot. If the 1v1 was successful, you'll be guaranteed an extra chest with a hand plating, with the other chest giving a head plating. I hope you found this guide useful, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to do so in the comment box below. Thanks for watching and take care.